Hi, welcome back. My name is Francesca. I'm glad you made it to my channel. So today we're going to practice crow pose together. Amazing, we're going to fly. So for this class, I want you to grab 2 blocks that can really help you to get into your crow pose. And when you're ready, have your blocks, meet you on your mat. Alright, so today we are going to start all the way on our backs. Lay down onto your mat, all the way. Hug the knees onto your chest, tuck the chin towards the chest, roll to the left, roll to the right, massage at your lower back. Then extend the left leg, and then pull the right knee into the right shoulder socket. Try to avoid your rib cage, and then flexing the left foot, push the back of the left knee down to the mat, and gently pull the right knee out to that shoulder socket. Feel maybe a little pinching sensation in your hip socket. Tuck the chin to the chest, keep the back nice and long. Then switch out the legs. Pull the left knee into that shoulder socket. Pull it out to the side. And extending the right leg, pushing the back of the right knee down. Flex the right foot, point the right toes to the ceiling. Activate the right leg. Really feel the energy in the right leg. Good. Then pull both knees back to the chest. And then start to pull them out to the side, back into that shoulder socket, opening up your hips. Pull the belly in, and then gently start to lift the heels up towards the ceiling. So your heel is going to be right over the knee line. And you can feel free to just grab behind the knee and pull those knees into the shoulder socket, or you can go into your happy baby by reaching from the inside of the knees to the outer arches of the feet, flexing the feet and pulling the knees out to the side. Watch your lower backs. Make sure that you're releasing it down to the mat as much as you can. And watch your shoulders. Release the shoulders away from the ears. Try not to tense in your jaw or in your shoulders as you pull the legs. Maybe slowly start to extend the right leg out to the side. Just be gentle. Use the exhalation to soften the back of the right leg. Rebend the right leg and then extend the left leg out to the side. And pull it back to center. Hug the knees onto your chest. All right, we're going to start to awaken our core a little bit, a very important part for crow pose. So lift up the arms, bring the wrists right over the shoulders. And then flex your palms, turn the fingers back. Imagine like there is the ceiling right over the palms, and you're trying to touch the ceiling with the entire palm. Good. Now, you're going to start to push that imaginary ceiling up all the way as much as you can by lifting the shoulder blades away from the mat. Good. So your belly is already engaged, you already feel your core. Then start to lift up the legs and tuck the tailbone under, lift the lower back away from the mat and see if you can bring the knees all the way onto your triceps. Maybe you can touch them together. So your shoulder blades are lifted, your lower back is lifted, your lower belly is on. Then bring the big toes to touch and then see if you can push the palms more higher up towards the ceiling, lifting those shoulder blades, rounding through the back and really engaging your core. Wow, you're already doing crow pose. Just, we have to turn around and do the same thing. Good, then release. Let's do that again. So really feel how important the core are in this exercise. So palms up, flex the fingers, lift up the shoulder blades, pushing up, straight up towards the ceiling. Then tuck the tailbone under, engage your lower belly, lift the hips away from the mat, and then start to bring the knees onto your triceps, glue them together, and then see if you can lift the shoulder blades even higher, bringing the big toes to touch, and start to breathe here. Deep breath in, exhale, pull the belly and feel the engagement in the core. Good, and then slowly release, hug the knees onto your chest. Start to rock and roll back and forth onto your mat. Cross the ankles and make your way all the way into a high plank position. Top of a push-up, spreading the fingers, rounding slightly through the upper back, the spacing between the shoulder blades. Reach with the sternum, the chest more forward, and reach your heels back towards the back of the mat. Good. Then bring the feet a little closer together. And lift up the right leg, rounding through the spine. Bring the right knee to the right tricep. Pull it in. See if you can touch the right knee all the way to the right tricep, engaging the core. So here we're warming up not just the core, but also our shoulders to get ready for that nice crow pose. Then stretch the right leg back. Pause. Breath. Lift the left leg up. Then bring the left knee to the left tricep. Lean more forward. Use the right toe mount to push yourself even more forward. Maybe lift the left knee a little bit higher. Good. Then release it back And release the knees down to the mat. Come on onto your hands and knees. We're going to warm up our wrist joints by turning the fingers towards the knees. Your thumbs are out, your fingers pointing towards the back of the room. Good, and then go through a couple cats and cows. Feel the opening in the wrist joint. Just like that. Inhale, lift up the gaze, drop the belly. Exhale, round it out. Good. Then keep the fingers just like that. Come back into a neutral tabletop position and just gently see if you can shift the body weight back towards the heels. So this may be a little bit of an intense movement for you, for your wrists. So just be gentle. Keep breathing in and out through the nose and just go as far as you can go. And come back, shifting the body weight back. Now we're going to flip around. So the tops of your hands going to press down towards the mat. Your thumbs are facing towards each other. And you're going to press gently in the top of the hand. So that could be even more of an intense position for your wrists. So just be gentle. Try not to put all your body weight onto those wrists. Feel how your core engaged and it's keep lifting you out from that wrist joint. And see if you can go through a couple cats and cows, or if you just prefer, just hold it there, shifting to the left, shifting to the right. Using the breath, nice inhale as you lift up the gaze, lift up the tailbone. Good, and then come on back into a neutral tabletop position. And then you can do the same thing here. Start to shift the body weight back. Maybe a slight bend into the elbows. Good, then come on back. Come on back into a regular tabletop position. Point the fingers back into their regular position. And then shake the right wrist, the right arm. Shake the left wrist, left arm. Good, sending all that fresh blood into the wrist joint. Then tuck your toes under. Walk your hands just a couple inches more forward. Lift the hips high. Come on into your downward facing dog. Pull the belly in. Push the earth away. Let the head to be heavy. Gaze back towards the toes. Let the heels hide behind the toes. Good. And then come forward into a high plank position, top of a push-up. And then come on down onto your forearms, onto your elbows. Bring the elbows directly underneath the shoulders. Reach with the chest forward, pull the belly in. Lift up the thigh bones away from the mat. Good. Hold it here. Pulling the belly in. Lift up the ribs away from the mat, those front ribs away from the mat. Come back to that steady breath. Then release the knees down to the mat. Grab one of your blocks and then place the block down to the mat, just like that. Now you're going to frame the block with the fingers. So your thumb and index finger are going to go around the block. Then bring the elbows aligned with the wrists. Tuck the toes under. Lift the knees away from the mat. Come on back into that forearm plank position. Now watching those elbows. Keep the elbows in so they stay shoulder distance apart. Start to walk into your dolphin pose. Walking the toes in, pressing it down into the elbows, into the forearms. Tucking the tailbone under. Keep the knees bent if you want. So your hamstring may be a little tight here. Focus more on the length of the spine. Lift the tailbone, the sit bones up towards the ceiling, keeping the belly engaged. You can stay here. If you want to add on, you can bring the feet a little closer together and lift the left leg up and away from the mat. Reach back to the left heel, keeping the left leg strong. This is just an option. If it's too much, just release both feet down to the mat. Then slowly switch it out to the other side. Your right leg is down and lift the left leg up and away from the mat. Keep the body weight on both forearms equally. Keep the back of the neck nice and long. Hug in with that block. And slowly release it down. Walk back into that forearm plank position, slowly, one foot at a time. Good. And then gently come on back onto your palms, left palm down, right palm, and then press back into a downward facing dog. Gaze forward, and start to walk your feet forward. Then place your feet onto the outer edges of the mat, turn the toes out, the heels in. You're going to squat down into Malasana. Bring the hands to your heart center. So if this is too intense, feel free to grab a block and place it underneath the sit bone. You can middle height all the way to the top, whatever feels good to you. And just sit up nice and tall. Feel the release in your hips. So the block is always a great option here. Sitting down in your Malasana, lifting up the chest, lengthening through the back of the neck. If your elbows are in the inner knees, push those elbows into the inner knees so you can really open up through the hips. Good. Then release the hands down to the mat. Lift up the hips and slowly walk back into a downward facing dog. Lift up the right leg. Gaze forward, step the right leg all the way forward to the outer arch of the right foot, to the outside of the right palm. Keep the back leg lifted, then see if you can sink a little bit deeper down into those hips. You can stay onto the palms, you can grab a block and start to come down onto the forearms, or you can come down all the way to the mat with the forearms. Now see if you can roll to the outer arch of the right foot and let the right knee fall out to the side. Keep feeling the length through the body as you reach back to the left heel, lifting the left kneecap, left thigh bone away from the mat and reach the chest forward. Then roll back to the right foot. Come back onto the palms. If you release down the elbows, and then slowly step back into a downward facing dog. Then lift up the left leg up and away from the mat. Then slowly step it all the way forward to the outside of the left palm. Good. Maybe start to shimmy the right foot back more behind you. Stay on your palms, or if you did that on the other side, you can come down using the block underneath the forearms, or maybe all the way down onto the elbows. Find more length from the right heel all the way to the crown of the head. And then start to roll to the outer arch of the left foot, opening up through the hip. Keep the energy in the right leg, lift up the right thigh bone, reach the chest more forward, lift up the gaze, lift up the head slightly. Then roll back onto the left foot, plant the palms down to the mat, and step the left foot back, come on back into that downward facing dog. And then come on down onto your knees. We're going to use 2 blocks for this one. So you're going to place down the blocks shoulder distance apart. And then you're going to plant the palms onto the blocks. Make sure that your shoulder distance apart. Make sure that your middle finger is still pointing forward. Then tuck your toes under. Come on into a downward facing dog. Gaze forward. Keep the hips high. Start to walk the feet forward towards the blocks. Push the earth away like you're trying to push your hands as much as you can into those blocks and lift up through the upper back. Maybe release the feet down or stay up high onto the tippy toes. Good. And now gaze more forward, like 20 inches in front of your mat. Then start to bend your knees. Then see if you can release the knees onto the tricep. Just tap it down. Now if you have the connection, see if you can round a little bit more through the upper spine and get the same exact sensation what we were practicing at the beginning of the class on our backs with that weird upside down crow pose. Lean more forward. Good. Lift up from the shoulders. Hold it here. Don't hold your breath. Deep inhales and deep exhales. Good. And slowly walk back into a downward facing dog. Good. Now we have one more round, just like similar to that one. Gaze forward. Start to walk your feet closer to the blocks. And then see if you can release those knees to the back of the triceps, like a shelf. Good. Find that connection. Round through the upper spine, turn on the core muscles, lean more forward and see if you can lift up just the right foot away from the mat. Your left foot is still down. Come back to the breath, hold it there, engage the core, round through the spine. Then release the right foot down to the mat. See if you can lift up the left foot up and away from the mat. Turn the core back on, rounding through the upper spine, just lift the left leg. Then release the left foot down to the mat. Walk back into a downward facing dog. Step the right foot back and the left. It actually feels really nice with that block, rotating the triceps down. Good. And then come on down onto your knees. Now it's showtime. So you can use those blocks if you like, or you can remove the block and try to do the same thing without the block. Hands down onto the mat, shoulder distance apart. Spread the fingers away from each other. Middle finger points forward, lift the hips high. Gaze forward, and then start to walk your feet closer to your wrists. Now bring the gaze a lot forward. Really gaze forward. Then bend your knees. Place those knees onto the triceps. Start to round through the upper spine. Pull the belly in and then see if you can lift up the right leg. Hold it there. Switch it out to the other side. Releasing the right foot. Lift up the left leg. Round the spine. Good. Release the left foot down to the mat. And then come on down back onto your heels. Come back into that nice malasana one more time. Close your eyes, bring the hands to your heart center, push the elbows into the inner knees, lift up the gaze. Deep breath, engaging the core. All right, and then we're placing the hands back down to the mat. Lift up the hips. Bring the feet again, hip distance apart, gaze forward, start to walk forward. Place the knees onto the triceps. So if you don't feel comfortable yet lifting both legs away from the mat, keep practicing to lift the right leg and then after that the left leg up and away from the mat, switching the legs. Or see if you can lift up the right leg, round through the spine, and maybe leaning more forward. With the next exhale, using the strong core muscles, round through the spine, maybe float the left foot away from the mat. Good, then keep pushing the earth away, feeling the strong core here, bringing the big toes to touch, round through the spine. Try to soften the muscles around the face. Maybe bring those big toes together, deep inhale. And slowly start to release the toes down to the mat. Come on back into the Malasana Yogi Squat. Grab the block anytime when you need it. Hands at your heart center. So good. Perfect. Then sit down onto your mat. Cross your shins. Bring the hands to your heart center. Sit up nice and tall. Soften the shoulders away from the ears. Close the eyes. Taking a couple breaths here. Deep inhale through the nose. Exhale out through the nose. One more time, deep inhale through the nose. Exhale, let it out. Just let the breath flow through the body. Relaxing the muscles around the face, around the shoulder. And slowly lift up the thumbs in between the eyebrows. Lift up the gaze. And together we bow forward, sealing into our practice. Namaste. Thank you so much for flowing with me today, or flying with me today rather, doing a little crow pose. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep practicing, get stronger in your core, get stronger in your shoulders, start to practice those wrist movements. They can really help you to get into your flying crow pose. See you next time.